Allowing a man to put a roof over your head to me is the same thing as allowing a man to like make you homeless, giving a man the power to pull the rug from beneath your feet. You know, sometimes people do things out of genuine just love for you, a genuine care for you, but a lot of times it's a power play, it's a power move. And I feel like to go into any situation, to live with a man, whether you desperate, whether it's transitional, whether this is a friend, whatever the case is, to go into a situation where you are 100% relying on a man for a roof over your head and your stability, I just feel like it's a power play, and you are giving that man the power to make you homeless at any given time, to fuck your life up at any given time, to fuck up your day-to-day stability and sanity at any given time. Me personally, in my experience, men don't do well with power. They abuse it. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Men do not do well with power. Power usually makes men want to get more power and want to see how much more powerful they can get. It doesn't make them sit back and realize how much of a responsibility it is to be in a position of power. Most men abuse power, and it's unfortunate, but I just feel like if you're young, if you transitioning, if you getting your life together, it don't matter what point of your life that you're in. If you're able to get that shit out the mud, get that shit out the mud. If you're able to make it happen on your own, make that shit happen on your own. You never want to give nobody the power to fuck up your day-to-day sanity and your peace.
So let's unpack this. Now, what we don't realize is that our perspectives typically give way to our secrets and insecurities. Now, first glance looking at this, it sounds like a lot of gems are being dropped, right? And don't get me wrong, to some extent that's accurate, but mostly it's a reflection of someone who has dealt with at least a decent enough amount of people or men that have taken advantage of their position of power. And that has cultivated or shaped her perspective, whether it be directly and romantically or through the people around her. She has made this observation more than once, more than enough times to say this is her logic. Now, the part that you don't really notice unless you're taking the time to let your mind really think as to what personality type may come from this perspective is, sis, while this experience may be true, it's also the reflection of an individual who lacks the ability to trust. See, there's something about being vulnerable and putting all your eggs in one basket and allowing this person the power and room, the space to do you damage that implies a deep amount of trust. And it's that a lot of men crave and strive for, because it says that she, without a shadow of a doubt, depends on you and trusts you thoroughly. So much so that she didn't consider to have that backup plan. She didn't she doesn't have money stacked up for a rainy day because she believes in you so much. She trusts in you that much. So a lot of times this perspective, while it is valid and does, without any pushback, say that there are experiences that do suggest that this does occur, you can't fully be committed in a relationship and have this perspective because it expresses doubt. It expresses doubt and distrust. So when you give this advice to women, what you're saying is, consider the fact that it's just a power move. He's just putting himself in a position to be able to break you and disturb your peace at any given moment. Not realizing that the very act of trusting someone with that much of your peace, that much of your existence, that much of your stability is typically what motivates a man to do his best simultaneously. So it really boils down to your judgment and character and who you give this trust to, more so than drawing a bullet point and putting all men under this umbrella to say that they don't do well with power. In fact, they abuse power. Because I would like to even take a stance against that and say people in general don't do well with power and they abuse power. Take women, for example, the independent woman, the I'm a boss and I can do it by myself women, that has come by way of them earning a certain level of power and capability within themselves that they won't allow anybody else to have power in their space. So they tend to spew that perspective of I can do things all by myself because they're in a position of power, so they wouldn't dare relinquish it. Not to mention, they tell men not to move in with a woman because you will very quickly hear, this is my house, you in my refrigerator, you eating my food, I paid for that. That is a position of power as well. So I really would like people, not just content creators, but people in general who take it upon themselves to give advice, not gender specific, because most of the things that we are suffering from in our everyday life happen within men and women alike. And to even insinuate that this is only common amongst men, this is only common amongst women, it shapes the thinking of people, and it makes you believe that one gender is completely innocent while the other one is just running amok, when in reality people overall don't do well with power, especially if they have not had it since their adolescence. When they have not been in a position of power and then they all of a sudden become powerful, they tend to take advantage because they don't understand that with that much power comes great responsibility. I have to quote some of these comic books and superhero movies, but it's a true statement to say that the more powerful you become, the more responsibility you hold. And whether you're a woman or a man, if you have people to care for, if you have people you're responsible to and for, you don't want to become a tyrant and take advantage of that power. But for the people that are under the care, or they're the people that are the responsibility of someone else, those people have to have a great trust, an unwavering trust, to allow you to maneuver the way you would like to maneuver and to stay in high spirits, to be harmonic. And it takes a very humble and person who can practice an abundance of humility to surrender in that way. That's why they call it submission. But I will say, even though being submissive and putting all your eggs in one basket is a symbol of unwavering trust, it is not wise to be ignorant. And so in that regard, I will say a lot of this advice that she's trying to give, her overall message rings a little bit true, is that just because you are able to submit, it does not mean that you should not have know-how. It does not mean you should not have an education. It does not mean that you should not have work experience. It does not mean that you should not be well versed in the ins and outs of your everyday life, how to get a job, how to apply for benefits, how to get a loan, how to, the things that everyday adults do. Just because you're the responsibility of another human being does not mean relinquish your know-how, relinquish your smarts, and to stop investing in your own growth. And in that lane, I would agree, because getting it out of the mud and teaching yourself how to be capable ultimately shapes your confidence and your ability to create a life for yourself in the event that you need to. And that is confidence that I feel every adult should possess. But that doesn't mean when you get into a committed relationship, act like the person you're with cannot be trusted, and that if they have an ounce of power, they'll just run you over. If that's what you think, you may want to reevaluate your choices and reevaluate what you find attractive and who you deem worthy of that trust. Peace.